Welcome back to part 2 of the Down South in Your Mouth Salad with Heather Joy of Perfectly Curated Life and Grace, writer and composer Nolan Williams Jr.
All right, so before I tell you about the characters, what do you need me to do?
So I really need you as my taste tester.
Oh, Lord.
But if you want, I think the most important job here is the baking job. So that goes on last.
Okay.
And I want you to give it the final blessing before we set it out.
I can do that.
Okay.
I can do
All
that.
right.
So now, if Miss Minnie were here, who is one of our lead characters, she would be asking when you fixed either the onions or when you roasted the peaches, what you did with the pot liquor once it was done.
Well, Miss Minnie would be proud to know that both of those things are in the dressing.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So she sings a song in the show called Pot Liquor because she believes actually that's the most nutritious part.
It is. That's cool. So you guys, the pot liquor is what is left in the pan, the liquid after you have made greens, or I guess other vegetables, but really for, it's that like fortified bit that has all the vegetable juice and all the nutrients in it that some people believe have like magical curing powers.
Well, yeah, because think about it. We tend to cook vegetables so long that most of the nutrients leave the leaves and enter into the jus, right? So Miss Minnie is that senior member of the family. She is fun and vivacious, and whatever you do, don't call her old.
Okay, because Miss Minnie will get you together.
Now, Ruthie is like you. She is the proprietor. She is the one that is putting it all together and making sure that everything is coordinated.
Okay.
She is the owner.
Coordinate. In fact, your shirt is coordination.
Well, we try. We really are kind of doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
The red, blue, white, and yellow. I love it. So she is the one that Miss Minnie, that Grammy left the restaurant to when she retired a few years back, and she is, as we learn in the process, she's really trying her best to keep the restaurant afloat in a community that is ever changing
and changing
gentrification.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this really is present times.
It really is present time, right? And then Haley, and I'm going through the ladies first. Haley is that cousin who is just loud and brassy, and always when she's in the room, she's the center of life and attention. Always has something to say, and always highly opinionated, right? And
We all have a Haley.
Listen, I'm not bashful. She's not bashful about expressing her opinion. Let's put it that way.
You're gonna know whether you want to or not.
Whether you want to or not. Like, don't you all know a lot of Haleys? Paul is the one of the main guys who is the closest to Grammy, and that's just through how he was raised.
So he's not a family member?
He is a family
member.
member.
Family member. Okay.
He is a family member, but she really. Grammy stepped in to raise him. And so there is that deep connection and affinity, in the way that senior women in our families will do when they have to. Even after they've raised their own kids, they'll turn around and raise another generation if they have to. And so he is the one that feels the loss most deeply. And then EJ is that bourgeois cousin who, while the other cousins grew up working in the family restaurant, he was off overseas. He was at the summer camps. He and the family were summering in the vineyard and that kind of thing. And so he is kind of coming back with mixed emotions. He wants to honor his grandmee because of course she was the one that kept all the factions of the family together. Right, that's what matriarchs do, and but at the same time, he has always felt like members of the family didn't quite understand him, right? And so he's not really sure what to feel about what he's going to experience, and we see that in terms of the interaction. And then there are other cousins that are present, and then of course all of the audience becomes like cousins too.
Well, can we sing when we sing?
Listen, that's a good question. We'll have to figure out.
I don't think you want that from me, but there might be some folks out there for whom that would be great.
Well, listen, I mean, the great thing about a show where the music is memorable and where the music is catchy, you know, folk end up singing whether they're prompted to or not. One of my favorite shows is Wicked, and every time I've gone to see Wicked, which I'm not embarrassed to say has been at least 3 times, I have been in some part of the audience where I've tried to keep my singing to myself, but then there's a moment where I look around and all the folk in my section, we're all kind of singing, like very softly. And it's like the most wonderful moment of community. It's like we all know the music, we love the music, and we give ourselves and give each other permission to be fully present in that moment. So, you know, hopefully over the life of the show, there will be that kind of communal experience as well.
Okay. So I want to take it back to Grammy for a minute because you said she'd want to know what we did with the pot liquor.
Absolutely.
So this is more like pot oil than pot liquor because I made the onions in oil. I caramelized them in oil, and the residual oil that was left over is part of the base of this dressing. And then I also took some of the roasted peaches and added that. And so it's an emulsion. It has a little bit of Dijon mustard, some maple syrup, and then those notes of Vidalia, onion, and peaches. So we're just going to kind of drizzle this over.
Yeah.
So now I have some questions that I want to ask you, and you only get to give me a 1-word response. I want it like straight off the dome.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. But you get what you get.
I
What
get
you
what I
get.
Okay, so beans and cornbread.
Be sure to visit gracethemusical.com to register for exciting updates and to be the first in line for tickets to the world premiere of Grace at Ford's Theater. This has been a presentation of Perfectly Curated Life. Return here for more of our fabulous recipe and conversation with Nolan.